What is up, America? Welcome in, grab a seat in the gallery, and join us for another edition of PlayUSA's Friday 5, where we are better than most, better than most, better than most! I am at Grant D. Lucas in the Twitterverse, at Grant Lucas in the real world, ready to tee up a new set of 5 items that have my attention this week. Before we get to the start sheet though, remember to like us, subscribe, and to get notified when we update new content, make like Dax, Shepard, Mary, and Kristen, and give that bell a ring. Also, for those looking to take advantage of bonuses and promos for betting on the US Open, I got you covered with a link in the video description below. Okay, it is time to tee 'em up. Let's roll. Since the PGA Tour returned in June, 6 tournament winners posted scores of 20 under par or better. That includes Dustin Johnson's ridiculous minus 30 during the playoffs. Don't expect those scores this week at the US Open. At nearly 7,500 yards, New York's Winged Foot Golf Club is daunting. Then you throw in the trademark narrow fairways and unforgiving terrain off the short grass, you'd be lucky to see red numbers. Of the 5 US Opens held at Winged Foot, only 2 players ever finished under par. Actually, Hale Irwin in 1974, he won the US Open with a score of 7 over. This week, FanDuel Sportsbook has essentially set the winning score over-under at about plus 1.5. I wouldn't bet on low scoring, but you can. Or you can consider today's topic, best of the bets at the US Open. Rescheduled from its usual Father's Day weekend slot because of the coronavirus pandemic, the US Open is up and running at Winged Foot, and technically it is the first of 6 majors to be played in the 2020-21 season, with the Masters coming in November and then the 4 majors after the new year, assuming all goes to plan. In this tournament, the US Open this weekend should not disappoint at all. Consider our number 5, which is less of a bet and more of a warning. Deepest field in US Open history. While the field is still large at 144 players, it almost feels like a pick'em for outright winner because of the strong parity of strong players. All but 2 players in the top 50 of the official World Golf Rankings are competing at Winged Foot, plus the field includes 10 of the past 12 US Open champions, including Tiger, who's won 3. Brooks Koepka, who won twice in the last 3 years, he opted not to play this week to deal with lingering injuries. I need your afternoon to go through all of the contenders this week, but let's start here. Dustin Johnson, who's gone second first over the last 4 events. Jon Rahm, briefly the world number 1 before DJ took over, and the only reason Johnson did not sweep all of the last 3 events. Xander Schauffele, who has 3 top 6 finishes in his 3 US Open appearances. Wild cards like Collin Morikawa, who won the PGA Championship. Then you got Bryson DeChambeau, Tony Finau, Matthew Wolff, Daniel Berger, Justin Thomas. So many players have ample reason to make their case for the US Open. Of course, resumes don't win titles, players do. And US Opens have torn down top players before, a memorable one we'll get to in a minute. But the guys at number 4, they look to avoid such meltdowns. Favorites at the US Open. While the field is stacked, it should come as no surprise that Dustin Johnson is the odds-on favorite to win this tournament. The recently crowned PGA Tour Player of the Year has gone par or better in 19 of his last 20 rounds and is playing at his absolute peak right now. Nipping at Johnson's heels, though, as he's done the last few weeks, is Jon Rahm, the one guy who's beaten DJ in the last month. He certainly attracts enough betting attention. It's difficult to ignore the potential of other top players in the field, but this US Open has a Rahm Johnson or Johnson Rahm finish written all over it, as it has each of the past few weeks. Of course, now that I said that, neither one of those guys will probably even finish top 5 and someone else will come up and win, which is our number 3, dark horse values. Have I mentioned the wide open field at Winged Foot? There's strong players everywhere. But at the US Open, especially at the US Open, it's driving accuracy and recovery that get you to championship status, which is why guys like Justin Thomas stand out. Thomas led the tour in birdies or better from the rough last season and strokes gained on approach to the green, and he was second in greens in regulation from somewhere other than the fairway. A shot that will be very common this weekend. Thomas holds the third best odds to win the US Open this week, so he's not really a dark horse. So how about Daniel Berger? He's top 50 on tour in driving accuracy. It's not great, but his recovery is outstanding. He ranked top 10 in birdie or better percentage when playing from the rough, and he led the tour in scrambling around the green, notching par or better over 67% of the time. Nearly every sports book lists Berger between 30-1 and 35-1, meaning $10 bet earns you $300 on 30-1 odds. On to number 2. Old guy still grabbing attention. It's weird to think of Dustin Johnson as one of the young guys. He's 36, and he's been around a minute. But compared to the following players, he's still a youngster. The two oldest players in the US Open field, Tiger Woods at 44, Phil Mickelson at 50, they've attracted quite a bit of betting action, if you can believe it. Obviously, Tiger will draw such attention as he continues his chase of Jack Nicklaus's all-time record of 18 major championships. Tiger's at 15. Phil, meanwhile, he's been off this year, and he's still looking to complete the career Grand Slam with only the US Open Championship trophy missing from his mantle. According to William Hill, more money has been bet on Tiger at 40-1 odds to win the tournament than any other golfer at the sportsbook. He's accounted for 18% of wagers placed. As for Mickelson, he stands as the player that has attracted the largest single bet made at the tournament, a $45,000 wager that would pay out an easy $3.3 million if he wins. This bet for a guy who has yet to win a US Open, who has more runner-up finishes at this tournament or any one major than any other player in history. Mind you, Mickelson has US Open history at Winged Foot, but it ain't a good one, which rolls nicely into our number 1, Lefty being Lefty. In 2006, Mickelson headed to the 72nd and final hole leading by one shot. A par would win it, a bogey forces a playoff. Mickelson didn't do either. He put one off the hospitality tent, struggled to recover, and ultimately double bogeyed and lost by one stroke to Jeff Ogilvy. Mickelson, like I said, he's had a lot of heartbreak at this tournament, at Winged Foot especially. He's had a lot of runners up. Never a win at the US Open. But Mickelson, he's maintained that typical Lefty humor. Just check out the tweet. Heard someone place $45K on me to win the Open at 75-1. Hoping for both of us, I have a 3-shot lead on 18T. I love it. Mickelson is the golfer we should all be, and the Cavs we should all wish to have. Nothing really indicates that either Mickelson or Woods will win this week. I mean, aside from the long shot odds, only one player has won the US Open when at least 44 years old. Hale Irwin at 45 in 1990. And I'm not sure if I've mentioned it yet, but the US Open this year, the field is stacked, and I am stoked. We all should be. That's it for me this week, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in. Remember to check out the description below for US Open bonuses and promos, and tune in again next week for another episode of PlayUSA's Friday 5.